there is no way on God's green earth that Unique is Breeze. Longtime power friends, y'all heard Breeze and y'all immediately knew who I was talking about without ever seeing bro's face. This man gotta be the most infamous power character who's never been seen on screen before. And since Raising Kanan's release, the speculation on who bro could be has never been higher. Mind you, his relevance comes from a couple of conversations from Kanan and Ghost in the original series. Bro has no feats outside of being the boss of Ghost and Tommy back in the day and working alongside Kanan as far as we know right now. And I'll concede in saying that with the little we know about Breeze, it is hard to rule out the fact that Unique could potentially be him, I guess. When you think about it, it's not really that hard. I'm gonna tell y'all why in this video. No more long talk though. Y'all already know what y'all gotta do. Like, comment, share, subscribe, do all those things if you like the video. And tell a friend who's a fan of power who thinks that Unique is Breeze that I'm about to debunk all that nonsense going through their head. Today I decided to take time out of my day to go back to the conversations that Kanan and Ghost had about Breeze respectively, to each other, to Tariq, etc. Try to piece things together to kind of mold who Breeze is. Or was, rest in peace. And we got a few things about his personality early on in the original Power. Apparently he stuck to a routine. He was always in the crib watching Jeopardy at 7 p.m. We heard from Kanan that he was strong but also dumb. We see a conversation go down between Ghost and Kanan in the original Power. Ghost is asking Kanan if Rolla would have actually put a hit out on him. Kanan says, I mean, it's not crazy to think that he'd want to take out the boss. You did the same thing to Breeze back in the day. For laughing like bro deserved that bullet. What is wrong with all this dark humor? I don't know if Kanan said this implying that Breeze was his boss as well, but we definitely know at the time that Ghost killed Breeze. Based on this conversation that he was his boss at the time. We also know that Ghost allegedly killed Breeze in his own living room and that Kanan was around when the hit happened. You could probably assume Tommy was not too far from what was going down, but we know for sure Kanan was in the vicinity based on the conversation. Now, with all these things said, a lot of what I just told y'all could not be held up in court for real. And that's because a lot of what I just told y'all happened early in Power, well before they even knew they was having any spin-off content. But they wouldn't have known they were planning on having a prequel Kanan series where they would be able to expand on Breeze's character more in depth. That is up until season 5, final season Power type territory. The last few things we learn about Breeze we get from a conversation between Tariq and Ghost. Tariq is fed up with the lies. He's fed up with Ghost altogether at this point. And he just asked him straight up to talk about all the bodies he's got in his past. To start that list of bodies with Breeze, the one we care about the most. Which is insane work. We didn't even know bro's body type, but we so invested in who this man is. It's here where Ghost tells Tariq that he loved Breeze. And that he really didn't want to kill him, but that he ended up getting in the way of his future. Y'all know Ghost don't play with his future. He'll have his son locked up facing 20 to life to protect it. But he also says he gave Breeze one last chance to change his ways before he pulled the trigger. He wasn't going, and that's how things happen. He also says he was Tariq's age at the time of this scene when he took Breeze out. Now, very brief, vague information that we get about Ghost's relationship with Breeze in this scene. But he uses the word love to describe his relationship with him, meaning that Breeze was somebody who was very important to Ghost at this time. And that's something we didn't get from any of the earlier mentions of Breeze. Obviously, it's coming from Ghost's perspective, but being that this happened so much later on in the original series, at a point in time where they probably had an idea that they were going to have the spin-offs, I feel like this conversation with Tariq holds a lot more merit in terms of who Breeze was, especially to Ghost. And I don't know about y'all, but you can tell he's not BSing Tariq in this scene. To me, I feel like he's being 100% genuine with his feelings on who Breeze was to him. You can see that he's really torn at the fact that he had to take him out. Going back to what I said earlier, just because they didn't have the mindset of maybe having spin-offs for Power earlier on when they had these earlier conversations about Breeze, that doesn't mean that those things cannot be applied to Breeze's character whenever he's introduced, whether it's in Raising Kanan or Origins. He could have very well followed his schedule, watching Jeopardy every night at 7 p.m. Maybe Ghost doesn't kill him in his living room. Maybe Breeze isn't even Ghost's boss. They can choose to retcon any of this information if we being honest. But I'm choosing to stick with everything that happened and everything that Ghost told Tariq in this scene, at least when we talk about Breeze. Like I said, very vague from the conversations that we've heard Kanan and Ghost having about Breeze respectively. Even if they choose to retcon these conversations that they were having with Tariq and amongst themselves, I still would not believe that Unique could be Breeze in any capacity. I got a couple reasons for thinking that. Reason one, there was a lot of people who already thought Ronnie, Unique's brother, was Breeze from last season. Now, we know Ronnie crazy self is dead now, and thank God they took this menace off the street. He was wilding. But Ronnie was somebody who moved around really particular too. He had a certain way about him, a routine-like way that he followed. Obviously, we didn't really get to know that routine because they took him up out of the series. But even me at the time, I thought there might have been a little merit to the Ronnie being Breeze theory. Even if you look at some of the earlier conversations Kanan would have with Ghosts, I mean, he's strong, but he's not the smartest really. We've seen Ronnie and Unique get fooled time and time again by the Thomas family. We know he had a working relationship with Kanan until he didn't. Obviously, we know Kanan took him out the game when he tried to go at his mom. We repeat that Kanan took him out the game when Ronnie tried to go against his mom. So yeah, before Kanan killed Ronnie, I think that there was a lot of weight to Ronnie being Breeze potentially. Outside of the fact that bro isn't really loving. Like I couldn't find any redeemable qualities about Ronnie that Ghost would potentially fall in love with. To me, I see Breeze as somebody who's going to be an antithesis of Ghost's pop. We know Ghost Pops didn't like him being in the street, but obviously Breeze had an influence on him enough to keep him in the street. You might even see in Power Origins Ghost struggling to see whether or not he wants to stay in the life or listen to his pops and get out of it and stay with his education. Who knows? I know at this point in the video, y'all are probably asking, what does any of this have to do with Unique being Breeze? Well, a couple things. For starters, these writers clearly listened to the fans. They knew how fans was feeling after Joey Badass' wrongful death, and they brought bro back after hearing the reception. And you could also argue that it was always in their plans to bring Unique back, especially after the conversation he had with Marvin when Marvin caught that one body in season 2. Unique tells him something along the lines of, if you don't take care of the body yourself, if you don't see the body in the end, then they likely ain't dead. You could very well say that that was foreshadowing that Unique could come back from the dead at some point, and I wouldn't be mad at it. Like I said, these writers listened to their fans. They had to have seen it circulating around that people thought that Ronnie could be Breeze. And even if they don't want to follow the canon of what happened in the original Power because they didn't know about the spinoffs happening now, sure, they don't have to do that. But Ronnie fit a particular archetype to give fans reason to believe he was Breeze to begin with. Them taking Ronnie out, eliminating him from the Breeze conversation in general, should automatically rule Unique out, in my opinion. Reason being, if we could assume that the writers are listening to the fans in this way, why would you write in Unique to be Breeze after Ronnie was just debunked being Breeze when they're siblings? And then you do it in back-to-back seasons, just nasty work. But even if this is not enough evidence for you, I have one more point leading to the fact that Unique cannot be Breeze. We know Kanan and Ronnie were working together last season, which was another big point as to why fans thought that Ronnie was going to be Breeze. There's no way in hell you could tell me with a straight face that you believe Unique and Kanan will be working together at any point in this series. Now with the way bro's moving right now, he don't want nothing to do with the Thomas family. We see how bro is moving in these streets, taking out anybody Rock's connected to. We seen in the first episode of this season, he tried to take out Lulu. You think Kanan's gonna want to work with that? And yeah, we know Rock and Kanan do not have the best relationship right now, but they didn't have the best relationship in season 3, and he still rode with his mom when Ronnie could have took her out and got rid of another one of his problems. So we know Kanan's gonna ride with his mom at the end of the day, at least up until this point. I don't think he's gonna side with Unique and go against her, especially when he's going at more than just Rock. He's going for his uncles too. And if this is the case, there's no way that there's gonna be a Ghost, Tommy, and Kanan working with a Unique situation in Power Origins potentially, ruling out Unique from ever being Breeze, in my opinion. Before he went about doing what he was doing in this season, there might have been a chance that Unique could have been Breeze. But seeing all the bloodshed on the Thomas side, I just don't see Kanan working with him in person. And I for damn sure don't see the writers revisiting a plotline where Kanan is working with another Mathis sibling. On top of the fact that I believe this series has done a great job of building Unique up to be a great antagonist. To my anime fans, y'all will probably know about My Villain Academia. Probably one of the best villain arcs in anime and manga history, I ain't gonna lie. Arc, the villains in My Hero Academia were mad trash. We liked Unique, yeah, but what was he really doing in the street? Rock was lil broing him at every corner. He even had bro in his bed giving up all his work. But at some point down the line, I think season 5 of My Hero Academia, the villains started getting up. They was tired of getting abused, and they went on a crazy villain arc and turned into some of the coldest villains in the whole series. Now, we already know Unique went through something similar after getting the beats put on him by Ronnie. We already see he's on BT. Look at all the bodies he's caught in the span of 2 episodes since we've been in the present timeline. He is not playing, and he is not letting up. Them writers could really drag out the fact that he's a ghost, no pun intended, up until the end of this season, even though I think he's going to be revealed to be alive towards the midpoint of the season. And if that happens, Unique could be the big bad of season 5, which will likely wrap up Raising Kanan going into Origins. He could honestly turn into one of the best villains we've seen in Power period, and I feel like him being Breeze would ruin that for his character and for what the writers have been setting him up to be. With that said though, man, the mystery of who Breeze is remains. In my opinion, I feel like Breeze is somebody we haven't even met yet. We probably won't meet Breeze until the end of Raising Kanan or going into Origins, in my opinion. I'm just gonna go with the idea that we don't know who bro is yet. When he gets introduced, it'll all make sense. We won't even have to question if that's Breeze or not, because he's gonna say his name is Breeze. Like, imagine if Unique changed his name to Breeze. For what? What was the reason to change your name to Breeze? Whoever's Breeze is gonna come out as Breeze. Simple. Yeah, I just wanted to put out this quick rationale for y'all, I guess, on why I don't think Unique could ever be Breeze. I think it would do more harm to his character than good if he was Breeze and he was affiliated with Kanan to a degree, because then he knows he can't go for his mom if they're really gonna have a working relationship. Let's be honest. Nobody's putting a bullet in Rock's head as long as Kanan's around, unless it's Kanan himself. Y'all let me know what y'all think. Do y'all think Unique is Breeze? Do y'all think I'm bugging with my reasoning as to why Unique cannot be Breeze in any capacity? I'll leave all y'all thoughts in the comments. Until next time though, I'll be your host, Jay Suave. I hope you've been entertained, and we gonna talk soon. Peace, y'all.